Good evening and welcome to Come Paint With Me. And tonight we are joining with, we've got somebody coming in, this is fantastic. We are joining with friends and promoters of justice. Good evening and welcome to Come Paint With Me. And tonight we are joining with, we've got somebody coming in, this is fantastic. We are joining with friends and promoters of justice. Good evening.
You're doing great, guys. It's okay.
Let's start again. Hi there. Sorry for a bit of a teething problem, but Facebook won't see that, so that's great. YouTube, this is the first time. This is my first live program. So I'm Angela, I'm from Art Antics, and I run a show on YouTube and Facebook called Come Paint With Me. And tonight we are doing a special edition where we are joining with friends of promoters of justice. And we're going to be talking to Winnie and Ua from that group. And they're going to be telling us a little bit about how this group came to be, the vision, and the values and what they want to achieve, particularly in the next year. And as we have this conversation, I am going to attempt to paint the famous three footballers from the Euros. I've done a sketch, and so I'm not promising that it's going to be a masterpiece, but I'm just wanted to paint them because we want to honor them for what they did. Because even though we didn't win the Euros a few weeks ago, you know, these three guys, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka and Sterling.
Raheem Sterling.
Raheem Sterling, yeah. These guys deserve to be honoured. And unfortunately, just after the Euros, the opposite happened, and members of the public and people treated them really badly, and people from their ethnic group, which is absolutely terrible. And so we'll have a bit of a discussion about that as well. But to kick off, and whilst I kind of promote us everywhere, Winnie, thank you for joining us this evening. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the history of the group that you set up last year? I think it was around the time of the George Floyd incident. And if you just want to tell us a little bit more about that, if that's okay, I will.
Oh, thank you, Angela, for having me. And I am so grateful for this time, and also for lots of people really who've been part of starting this group. So last year, obviously, we know the events that happened over the summer with George Floyd and everything. And obviously that kicked off a lot of conversations, which I think have led to a lot more happening now. And I think there's a lot more positive steps going forward in terms of race relations and race discussions. So last year, what happened, I was sharing stories from my blog. So, because I read a lot of people giving their experiences of how they faced racism, of how injustice has happened to them. And I started sharing that on my Facebook and on my blog. And I just realized a lot of people are commenting and saying how they didn't know that these things happened. So there was a lot of, I would say, ignorance. We realized there was a lot of, not because people were just ignorant, but because people genuinely didn't know. So from all those conversations, I just thought to myself, what if I brought these people together? What if I formed a group where people felt comfortable to discuss further and learn? And obviously, all these people who are feeling a sense of coming together and a sense of, forming alliances. So why not bring these people together and just learn together and probably make a difference in one way or another. So that's what we did. And so that's how Friends and Promoters of Justice came about. Ua, would you like maybe to add to what I've said?
Are you there, Ua? Okay, fantastic. Well, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing, Winnie. So tell me, what are the kind of things that you feel like you've been able to achieve during your time in the group, and what kind of subjects have you covered with the group?
So I think sometimes we expect, obviously at this point, when I formed it, when I sort of like approached the group, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted, but all I knew is that when people come together, something can be achieved. And I think one of the things that we've achieved is being able to have these conversations, being able to discuss race without people feeling, and more, obviously it's a very, very uncomfortable subject. So I think what we've achieved is that people can learn. I think we've still got a long way to go in terms of people feeling comfortable enough to give their opinion without wondering whether they will be judged. But I think that has been positive. The other thing that we still are working on, and we think we have gotten to a little bit of success, is schools, because we realize if we are going to tackle this thing of race, obviously it has to begin with especially children. What do children, because what came up during this whole George Floyd thing was that schools were not doing enough. There's a lot of history that's not covered in schools. What kind of books, I look at my kids and my 10-year-old, what kind of books do they bring home? Say reading books, do they read enough to give them a wide understanding, or not just the British history? Do they know more? Do they also learn about other ethnic groups? And also, do they read stories that reflect who they are? Can they see themselves in those books? So, and we realize a lot of, personally, I've come across the books they have my children read in school. It's not enough. It doesn't cover a wider range of, say, writers, diversity. Am I still on?
Yep, you are. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'll just say different. So there's not enough diversity in terms of what they read and what they're sort of like what is covered in school. So that's one of the things that we wanted to tackle in terms of, and that was just really out of what we as parents could do in terms of recommending to schools different books, different resources that covered and helped children have a wider understanding of diversity. So that's one of the major things that I think most people have been passionate about in the group. Other than that, it's just been about supporting when we discuss things like migration and refugees, and being able to support one another in terms of whether it's signing petitions or just giving advice for different things that happen in people's lives. So I think that's what we've been really able to cover so far. But I think there is still more to achieve. I think we can't achieve that in a year. We can't achieve that maybe even in 5 years. I think this is a lifelong journey that we are on and have to be committed on to going on, really.
Yeah, I forgot I'm not on mute. So I'm just going to try and start painting our friends here. I'm not going to finish in this time, but we can have a go. And forgive me if I don't know, do the wrong color but yes, and like I said, the idea is to honor these guys. So you talked about petitions.
Yeah.
Have you been able to kind of like either write any petitions or really see an increase in the amount of people that have signed petitions, and which petitions have you done so far? I know there was something around Topshop, but yeah, tell us, what petitions have you kind of like?
Well, yeah. So I think one of the ones I could say is that there wasn't really a petition for Topshop. Obviously, that was my experience.
Right, yeah.
But what happened is that we had not just people from the group, but when I appealed to people to write to Topshop, there's lots of people who responded and did write, and that did make a difference in the results in how Topshop responded. But we've had. I wouldn't say it's very difficult to say who signed the petition and who's not, but just being able to put that across to the group, whereby, you know, if somebody is having a problem or has put up a petition and putting out in the group, and and seeing results, seeing say that the petition being response to the petition, say if it's by the government, I think that gives us some satisfaction to know something's being done. So I can't say this particular petition that we've not started one as such on our own. Maybe that's something that we can do in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'm starting to understand the power of petitions. But I have learned recently that it's possible that when we do, there's a couple of organisations like change.org and another one, where they're not government, but the one that they push is the government one, and actually the reason why they have it is to try and catch up on us guys who are who they might see as rebels, who are going against kind of like the status quo, and to keep track on us. So I guess we've got to be a bit careful when it comes to that sort of stuff. We've got a few guests on this evening, so for those of you who joined, I know Ua knows exactly what's happening, but we've got a couple of others that have just joined. And anybody who is watching the live stream. Beat and our other friends that are on. So basically we've joined tonight with friends and promoters of justice, and we have my friend Winnie and Ua on, who basically set up a group back in, was it May, Winnie, last year?
It was around June. Yeah, last year.
Yeah. Who basically set up a group to really respond to kind of like what was happening in the world, particularly connected to the George Floyd incident, but I imagine as well, what was her name? The other girl.
Effie?
Can you remember her name, Winnie? The girl, Breonna
Taylor?
That's it, Breonna Taylor. So that was another really dreadful situation that happened around the same time. So Winnie and her friends kind of set up this group to really respond to that, and to start a conversation really, because, you know, for many years there'd not really been a conversation around this subject, and it needed to come back. There needed to be a conversation again. So we're just basically talking about the roots of the group, and at this point I want to really recommend the group. I've actually put it in the chat on the right hand side, obviously. So for anybody who sees this afterwards, please do click on the link, and then we can see if you can join the group. Incidentally, Winnie, I have posted the YouTube on the group. However, it needs you to accept it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether so that's what I will
do that right now.
Yeah. So for anybody basically in your group that wants to watch this, they'll be able to see.
That's done now.
Fantastic, great. So hopefully people can watch that now. So let's talk about our three friends here. Did you watch the match on that night? Are you a football addict supporter, or?
Well, I do watch like main. I'm not really a big football fan, but I will watch, say, big tournaments like World Cup or Euros. So so I was following this one quite keenly.
Right.
And it was quite interesting, because I think over the last few years England hasn't done so well, so this one was quite taken up by it because I was like, wow, they are doing much better. But what got me was on the night after the penalties, I was on Facebook, and one post from my friend just read, and I just thought, I just didn't expect it to be that bad, because she put out a post and said, now wait for the backlash, you know, and I didn't think it would be that bad, you know. I didn't think people would be that mean. So I was quite, I wouldn't say that much surprised, but I was quite shocked at the intensity of it and the cruelty of it. It was quite cruel, I think. And just to think that when they were winning, there was nothing mean said. So it's almost like you're there to do what we want you to do and do it for us. But as soon as you're not doing what we want you to do to make us succeed, then you're the enemy. It's quite, I don't even know what to say. I don't understand that kind of mindset. I don't understand racism, honestly. It's beyond, I don't know, it's there's some evil you can describe, but there's just, the evil in racism is beyond what I don't even understand, because you don't know how a fellow human being can treat another in such a horrible way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, very, very true. I watched the Euros, I think, that night to a certain point. And then, to be honest with you, because my husband wasn't around, I kind of got a bit bored with it. I was finishing a painting at the time. I had a commissioning to do, and I was like, I need to finish it. And I think I had it on for a little while, but then I think as penalties, I was like, no, I've had enough of this. And I was actually, my husband was working that night, and I was so tired. So I think I just went to bed. And then the next morning, and then I think it was Reggie that was like, have you heard what's been happening? Like, people have been getting thrown off buses and trains, and like just dreadful behavior. And it's like you say, like our young black friends became like scapegoats for like us like losing the Euros, when obviously there's a team, and it's not just, you know, it was a team effort and stuff. And so I just think, and you know, that if I mean, is it true that, say, if a white person had missed the goal, or because I don't even know what happened, I'm assuming they missed, or that they got saved or whatever. I mean, in the day, it's a game. Like, seriously, get alive. Like, how can you kind of use this for, you know, as your almost like your excuse to be racist, sort of thing?
Yeah.
If it had been a white person, would people have acted in the same way? I'm guessing not. But yeah, I absolutely appalled. So I don't really follow the news much. So are things any better now? Did you experience anything, or have you heard of anything where any of your friends have been treated badly or anything because of what happened? Oh, have we lost Winnie? You there?
Sorry, I missed that, Angela.
That's okay. No, I'm just saying, have you experienced any treatment of yourself that's been really horrible because of the football situation? Or do you have any friends that have been treated badly because of what happened?
So sorry, Angela, I cannot.
Your connection's gone a bit funny. Our friend Winnie is in Devon sunning herself, and so potentially her connection is not as great as we would like. So let me, Ua, are you there? Would you like to tell us?
Hi, Angela. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
I'm going to.
Winnie, you might want to leave and rejoin. Maybe that might be better.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
Uwe,
yeah.
do you want to tell us kind of like your position, not position, but your parts in the group, and what you've been doing in this past year, why you got involved, how it's, I don't know, not helped necessarily, but contributed, how it's contributed to your life, what difference it's made, and why people should join.
Right. Okay. That's a lot of questions there.
Angela. Sorry. Go with the first one, and then I'll just
No,
remind
that's
you.
fine. Don't worry. So I'm Uwa, and I mean, to be honest with you, Angela, and everybody on the call, one of the main reasons I joined was to support my friend Winnie, who had this really passionate belief that it would be good for us to do something as a collective. Irrespective of where we are in life, geographically and otherwise, it'd be good to do something to, stand up for the little man, quote and unquote, and just contribute our own quota and our own bit to inequality across, all aspects of life, really. Yes, racism and the George Floyd thing was the major thing that made her set it up. But obviously, inequality in other sectors as well, as she rightly said. The refugee situation, domestic violence, all sorts of other sidelined or discriminated groups, so to speak. So it's been a privilege. So I'm basically like a co-admin for the Facebook group, so to speak, and we try to share thoughts, share ideas on first and foremost how to educate ourselves, inform ourselves about what's going on, or even go back down history and memory lane to see why these things are happening, and how we can contribute. And one key thing that that, like Winnie rightly said, was to educate our kids. Both the Black kids, the white kids, all kids need to be aware that this shouldn't be. This is talking about racial inequality now, and it just isn't right. And the more we learn about history, probably that can help our kids grow up better, and they might be able to reduce it in their generation, because we are really struggling at the moment. But it's been a privilege, been an honor. We're not where we hoped we'll be, but it's been good to have the group, to share thoughts, to read posts from different people, to just have that togetherness with other like-minded people. And thanks, Angela, for hosting this evening as well. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I am not working as of, well, I am working, but not in a job. I'm self-employed as of today, doing my art and various other things. So I'll be able to be a little bit more vocal and a little bit more involved. Whereas, I mean, it's been a crazy year, and I've just not been able to. But I will definitely be kind of like having it as something on my radar. So what do you think then, Uwe, sorry if you've already answered this, but what do you think the group has achieved in the last year?
Yes, so one is pulling people together with like minds, and I think everybody who joined the group has a passion to relinquish inequality across board. Just some form of either social justice or racial equity, racial equality. Stamping out poverty if possible. Just sort of bringing some form of equity to the human race, really. I know we're just a small group on Facebook, but every little helps, like Tesco would say. So yeah, we have achieved that, people coming together. We have, I think we were able to give Winnie all the moral support, all the prayers, all the advice when she was going through that bad situation with Topshop, which was really crazy. So I think we kind of gave her that moral support, and that's kind of thing we would would like to get involved with or do, to be honest. Obviously, I think there was a petition, not by our group, but there's a petition which I think it's not just a few months ago, and about a refugee situation, which, you know, somebody just posted it on there, and I guess some people would have signed it as well. And I think eventually the desired outcome, you know, happened. Whether or not it was because of the petition, you know, difficult to tell. There's been a lot of talk about schools and books that our kids can read to, you know, educate and, you know, improve our knowledge about different, you know, like Winnie said, diverse ethnicities and races, and understanding really history, and then just, you know, talking a lot about how we could even try and equip schools, or even contribute to the diverse literature in primary schools, so to speak. So, I mean, like I said, we're probably not where we wanted to be, but there's been a lot of good things. And like I said, the togetherness was a really big thing, just bringing like-minded people together. Yeah, that's what I think.
And have you found support from like, is it mainly people of ethnicity that are on that group, or are there white folk like myself? Is it kind of a mix?
So I don't think we've done a ethnicity, quote unquote, ethnicity census check with everybody in the group. But given that Winnie was the one who set up the group, and I think most of her family and friends are obviously of Black heritage, so I think there's more Black people on the group. I think I haven't done a count or head count. I also think there will be not just non-Black or not just white. There might be one or two others from maybe European countries, or even America. So like I said, we haven't done a census check, but yeah, it's good to have people together.
Okay, so why should people join the group?
Why should people join the group? So first and foremost, you know, like I said, people coming together with like minds who want to try their best in their own little way to promote justice, to stamp out inequality across all sectors. So if you even have a glimmer of vision like that, or a feeling that you want to do something, then definitely join the group and bring what bring your suggestions, bring your advice, bring, even if it's problems we can solve together, and stuff like that. So yeah, we want to promote justice. We want to stamp out inequality across all sectors, in our own little way, but in an impactful way.
Yeah. So I'll come back to you in a minute when we'll talk a little bit about football. But Winnie, why should people join the group? Oh, you're on mute.
Well, yeah, as Uwa said, it's really a matter of individuals wanting to do something positive. As we've seen, the awareness is there. There's social consciousness. I think unfortunately, the horrible events last year highlighted this injustice that we have been feeling for a long time. Black people have been feeling for a long time. But I think a lot of other people were unaware. So I don't think this is something that we can solve on our own. It's not something that, people who are oppressed will say, we all come together and unite and this thing will be resolved. No, I think this is something that we have to form. We have to come together, people from every ethnicity, every, background, to come together and say this problem exists. And first of all, I think it's a matter of admitting and being honest about it, and saying, yes, we know that this has been going on. Because I think we have two camps. Some people will say, oh, well, you guys like to complain a lot. But this is obvious, no one can deny that the inequalities are there. No one can deny that the injustices have been happening. And so to come together, for me, for somebody to join the group, is not so much to say, I'm just coming to add the numbers. for me, I think that's a personal decision to say, I want to learn more. I want to know what I can do, me personally, in my workplace, when I'm out and about in town, in my home with my kids and my family. What can I do? Can I educate my kids? Can I educate my grandma? Can I educate my sisters and brothers? You know, can I be that person that speaks up when I'm in the football ground? You know, when I'm sitting next to those people who are being horrible? Can I do something? You know, when I see something out there in the street happening, I am more aware that these things happen, and I can step in and I can speak up. So I think joining the group is about really, first of all, having that desire to be informed and to learn, and to be in solidarity really with others, and see where we can move the needle forward really, because I think the worst thing we can do in situations like this is put our heads in the sand and pretend that it's okay, it doesn't happen. I've had a lot of people saying that you know, we complain too much. And I think that's one of the enemies of change, really. If we are silent, we are silent about an injustice, we are silent about a problem, it doesn't go away. It just goes underground and it just rears its head and becomes even a worse issue. So yeah. if you're here and or you're going to be listening to this later on, I would say it's not just our group. There's so many justice and equal, you know, justice and equality groups online and elsewhere. So find where you feel you fit in and where you feel that you can contribute and you can learn, or whatever suits you, but just find somewhere and implement whatever you learn, whether it's at work, whether it's in school if you're a teacher. And I think that's really a big point, especially teachers. I think they have a big job, and I think that's where we can make a big difference in terms of helping our children come out of this, because we don't know what they learn in their homes, and if we can give them something different, an alternative information that is more positive, then what a better thing to do for the whole society, really.
So so what would you say to those, I guess, of us that are worried about making a mistake and saying something wrong, and especially, like, I suppose people of my ethnicity, that I guess sometimes we are, because of our white privilege, there's an idea and a concept that I'd not really understood or thought about until this kind of all became headlines sort of thing. Because obviously it's not just something that's gone away, but for those of us that are in a place of white privilege, we hadn't really thought about it as much as potentially we should. And I guess I was very ashamed, because I have a lot of friends who are of Nigerian descent or Ghanaian, Jamaican, and had some conversations, but potentially not as many as I could have done for whatever reason. So what would you say to those that are a bit concerned about joining the group because they're a bit concerned about, I don't want to say the wrong thing? What would you say to them?
I think that's a big problem, and that's something I think we still see even amongst those that are in the group, whereby we know people want to be in the group because they came in, they joined, and they've not left. But we find conversations can be very difficult. People are still fearful that they will get things wrong.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I get things wrong as well. You know, I have found myself sometimes making a comment on Facebook and going away and thinking, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have said that. I didn't think I put that right. And I think with anything that you've been blissfully ignorant about, not because not your fault, but because that's just how things have been. We've got to learn, and sometimes we've got to make mistakes. And I think we have got to be patient with each other, because if we have to work together, then we've got to be listening to one another. We've got to be kind and correcting one another kindly in love. So I think if you're afraid of making mistakes, we all make mistakes. I just want to say we all do. And it's about learning. It's about having these conversations. And they start with these conversations. I've had conversations even at work that have opened my eyes to see actually people care more than I thought they did. I've had conversations with friends that I didn't know care actually, who are not affected by racism, until George Floyd, and one of my friends rang me or spoke to me and said, I know it's in the middle of a pandemic and she's not affected by racism at all because she's not Black or anything. She's my good friend. And she said, I'm going to go to the protests in Manchester. And that touched me. That really did touch me, because I just thought, wow, I know you love me and I know you're my friend, but I didn't think you cared about us that much, And so I think these conversations need to happen, and they need to happen more often. And I think we need to stop being shy about them. And I know they can be hurtful, and I think that's why people are afraid of speaking up. But I think if we extended that kindness from our side and the other side, and people just extended that kindness of, when you make a mistake, let's correct you in love, and let's keep working together, because that's the only way we can make things better. I don't think we will resolve this completely in our generation, but I think we can move things forward and make things much, much better. Yeah.
Angela.
Yeah, great. Oh, hi, Georgina.
I've got a campus. I'm going to put 2 colours on it, Angela.
Amazing. Good stuff, Georgina. So we're just having a conversation today about some of the stuff that happened with the footballers last, it's a couple of weeks ago at the end of the Euros. And we've taken this up.
It wasn't very nice, was it not? A lot of places got vandalised after, because we didn't win.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
A lot of places got vandalised in Manchester.
Yes.
And something in Riddington got vandalised, didn't it?
It may have done. I think Winnie's nodding her head, so I'm guessing.
A memorial in Riddington,
yeah.
Manchester, yeah.
Right.
In Riddington, yeah.
Who was the what's the word? Memorial. Who was it of? Do you know? Does anyone know?
It's somebody from Riddington in Manchester.
I think Angela is referring to the mural for Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, in Manchester, yeah. Riddington, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the wall that
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, just terrible. So we've taken this opportunity, Georgina, to invite our friends from Promoters of Friends and Promoters of Justice, and we're particularly looking at the issue of racism tonight, and just how, but also promoting the group and seeing how we can get more people on the group.
In this area, in my area, to try and get it in a look-around.
Yes, I'm going to Georgina. That's what I'm definitely doing that. I'm definitely doing that.
Email Miles.
Yes, no, I have. I will continue to do that. Okay. Thank you, Georgina. So, Winnie, one more question for you, and then we'll go back to Uwe and we'll talk about football for a few more minutes. Do you think then it's got worse? Like racism has got worse? Obviously, it's yeah, and I suppose in my perception, it's like, well, it's not as bad as it was, say, in times of like, and when I say slavery, I mean like the slavery in America and here. I know that we still have slavery in the world. But we call it modern day slavery, don't we? But so from my world view point of view, I would say, obviously it's not as hard, as terrible as it was when rich white people had slaves from Africa and Jamaica. But I may be wrong, and maybe it is as bad now as it was then, but it has a different face. So yeah, has it got worse? Has it never changed? Yeah, what's your viewpoint on that? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, so I don't think that's an easy question to answer, but I wouldn't particularly think it's worse. But having said that, the fact that these are many decades, century on, and I think we still have a long way to go, or rather things have not changed as much as they should have. And I think when you're talking about something like people's lives, say George Floyd or any of the people who've been unjustly killed, I'm sure they would say it's as bad because their families have suffered just an injustice like, that other people suffered maybe 100 years ago.
Yeah. So
that's quite sad, that's quite sad. And I think what's happening now, we may say that maybe if you're looking at comparing it maybe to about 10, 20 years ago, you would say probably it's gotten worse. And I don't think so. I think it's being exposed now. Honestly, we have mobile phones, we have cameras everywhere. So I think it's just the exposure. I think that it's been there, but we are exposing it more now. It's out in the open now. And I think it also matters what kind of leaders we have in the world, because if we are having leaders that sort of encourage it, then we have a problem, because people who may do it or who may have those feelings privately feel emboldened by it, feel like they are justified to carry out whatever acts or whatever they feel, or say the things that they want to say. So it's difficult to say whether it's gotten worse. I think it's just been exposed more lately.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Winnie. Going back to you. So what was your take on what happened did you watch the football? Are you a football fanatic? Were you rooting for the Euros? Tell us.
Okay, yes, I like football, Angela. Thanks for the question. I have been a careful football follower for the past few years, if that makes sense. So I would support a team, but I wouldn't watch them so that they don't break my heart. But people would say I'm not fanatic enough, but that's just me. I did want England to, do well and win and all that stuff, but Eloho kept telling me, you have to be realistic here, set your expectations, reasonably. So I watched most of the finals, but I couldn't watch the penalties. I don't do well with penalties. It's just too unnerving. But I kept looking at, who had played on my phone, like just the news.
No,
yeah, Jeremy watched it. Yeah, it was painful that day that we lost at the finals. It was painful. And like Winnie said, as as it happened, and it was our Black brothers. I just want to call them Black brothers. It doesn't mean that we're related. Don't worry. And as our Black brothers missed the penalties, they themselves knew. They knew what the backlash was going to be, and most of us knew, like straight away, Angela, straight away. Now, we must know that this is not something like the backlash or the reaction. This is not something that just came out from nowhere or came out because they lost. This is something a lot of them have been going through now and again, online, offline, as their career has progressed. So it's not something that just was responsive because do you see what I mean, Angela? So they just knew when they missed the penalty. They knew. We all knew. I'm telling you, like, we just knew. So we just said, well, we're just going to sit back and, I don't know, give them as much solidarity and support as we can, and hopefully it blows out. So, I mean, to the flip side, trying to, draw on the positives, there was an overwhelming support for them, overwhelming, encouraging words from older athletes, older sportsmen, people in leadership, people in the professional, there was an overwhelming support for them all. People were putting, like, the picture you're painting now, a lot of companies use that as their poster. So, lots of support, which I think was good. And I think they appreciated it. Marcus Rashford released an amazing heartfelt statement. I don't have it here, so, I can't read it. Saka as well released an amazing heartfelt statement. So on the positives, there's lots of good out there, but it's quite a little bit sad and discouraging that something like that has to happen to, quote and unquote, bring out the the good side of things. Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is, Angela.
Yeah, I just think it's so what you say about how we knew, we just knew, and I wonder, that's not great, is it, for like young aspiring young Black men who want to make it in life, but there's almost like this kind of like all eyes are on them to almost like fail, and if they do fail, then everybody is on them to be like, it's your fault. Like, that's just not good, is it? Because it doesn't encourage young Black men to aspire to be something if they know that there's this, like, I don't know, people who are like ready to boo them off stage, as it were. Yeah, I guess it hadn't occurred to me. And actually, when Reggie told me, I was shocked. I was like, what? Why would people react like that? Like, come on, what a load of I shouldn't say this, but like morons to just like to do that. Like, seriously. But yeah. Wow, 5 minutes to go. How did that happen? Winnie, do you have anything to add? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Really, I think I've spoken quite a bit today. But I'm just glad that Angela, you're doing what you're doing. And I've been quite happy to speak with you, Angela, even from the first, frankly speaking, Zoom call we did, because what I felt and I see in you is a willingness to learn. You're not coming across and saying, I know everything, I know this, I know that, but you're coming across saying, I want to learn. Actually, I didn't know this, because obviously you are not affected by it. So it's so easy that you will not be walking that way with a lot of this knowledge. So I think what you're doing is great because you are enabling these conversations. You are opening up forums for these conversations to be had. You're opening yourself up to learn and saying, I want to be of help. And I think that's what is most important. because you as one individual just opening up that conversation and somebody else saying, actually, she doesn't think that, horrible way that other people think. And they'll begin to think, actually, then there is something here that maybe I also need to learn. So I think what you're doing is great. And the attitude of wanting to learn is most important, and wanting to be an ally, and wanting to educate yourself and wanting to educate others as well. So I think it's just the little we can do makes a difference. Because sometimes I hear people saying, oh, I don't bother with it because what can I do? I'm just one person. I can't make a difference. But I think we can. I think even if you make a difference in 1 or 2 people, that still makes a big difference. Because imagine if each and every one of us made that one difference in 1 person, in 2 people, then how many people will we be reaching? So many. So so thank you for what you're doing. And unfortunately, I'm not an artist. I was hoping to.
Oh dear. I'm hopefully we'll. And she.
So Tamara, my 10-year-old, is trying to do something here for me.
Oh, Mara, can we see?
So thank you, Angela, again, and thank you everyone who's joined us today.
I've done 2 paintings, Angela.
Very good, Georgina. That's amazing. So Winnie, and to everybody else, those of you that don't feel like you're artists, the whole point. So besides the talk we've been
nice designs, Angela.
Oh, okay. Wow, well done, Georgina. Amazing. Green there, I see. That's fantastic. Okay, yeah. So besides the conversation that we've been having tonight about, social justice is something extremely dear to my heart. Whether it is, anti-racism, or whether it is child soldiers, or whether it is, let me think of another one, human trafficking. All of those things are very dear to my heart. Social justice, I mean, for those of you, all of you know me on the call, but those of you on YouTube, I'm a Christian. So for me, and I just believe, all of those things are really close to God's heart. So why wouldn't I get involved? Why wouldn't I be bothered about it? Because, everybody deserves the love of God. What?
Can you let people know, Andrew, about the Keswick Convention?
Oh, yes, I will, Georgina. I will, yeah. Okay.
Will you show us when you complete it, Angela?
I will. It'll be on Instagram. I will send you individual. Probably not tonight. I've actually gone a lot further than I thought I would. I
think an idea would be when you finish it, that you can maybe send some prints to the I don't know, maybe you can get it to them.
Yeah, maybe
to the footballers.
Oh, to the football. Oh, wow. Well, we'll see. That would be cool, wouldn't it? So Winnie, just to address, I don't know if Winnie's still there, but I just wanted to say that come paint with me, besides talking about issues that are really important, the idea of come paint with me is to create a forum for those that don't necessarily feel creative, aren't necessarily amazing artists, don't have to be an artist at all. It's open to those of loads of ability and those of none. And I just want to open a creative space on Zoom, in person very soon. I'm going to be doing parties and all sorts of things. This is going to expand into all sorts of things, including obviously the YouTube. And just to give people the license to, we've lost Winnie, the license to be able to create together and just to enjoy having a go and playing. And I also want to, just to create a forum and a platform, but a space really to play. Because a lot of us have been told, well, you can't do that anymore because you're an adult, but it's actually really, really good for our mental health.
I think it helps lots of people with well-being and things. People stop people from being depressed, and with the lockdown, people get upset with the lockdown, what's going on,
Exactly, Georgina. So I wish I'd kind of started it about a year ago, but hey ho, I only had the idea recently. But what I was saying, Winnie, I don't know if you heard, I know that your Tamara is doing a picture as we speak. But I was just saying that the idea of come paint with me, as well as talking about issues like what we've talked about, is also, and to raise awareness on things, but is also to create a space, a safe space for people to just have a go. And for people to see me creating something that I'm not necessarily, well, I mean, I am professional, but at the same time, even a professional can create something where it doesn't always go according to plan. And people can see the process, that sometimes things go right, sometimes things go wrong, but also just like we can just play together. We can just create and play together, and we don't necessarily need to create anything that is, you know, gallery standard. It doesn't have to be. So that's I want to encourage people to have a go, and to help their well-being, because it decreases stress and all sorts of things, just to be able to have that space to play. So yes, anybody else got Beat and Patrick and Lizaya? Have any of you got any questions to ask or anything you'd like to say? Beat to you. You don't have to, but if you want to. Oh, Lizaya. You want to say something? If you don't, it's fine, no problem at all. No. All right.
No, I will ask a question.
Go on.
Can I? Were you born in this country?
I'm presuming you're not talking to me.
No, not to you. I'm Winnie. Were you born in this country?
Okay, one sec. That question is to Winnie. Oh, she's gone. There she is.
Were you born in this country?
I was born in Nigeria, Lizia.
Right. Winnie, were you born in this country? Oh, it's keep freezing.
Our internet, yeah.
I think that Winnie was born in Kenya.
Right.
Am I right? What?
The reason why I ask is because I was born in this country. And so my identity lies in this country, even though my origins are from another country, the West Indies. So my experience of racism has been from day one. Do you know what I mean? And my identity it's been very difficult to identify with a community.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And that's why I was asking that question, because I think if you come from, say, Africa or from Jamaica coming in, you are coming from a base of where you know your people. Whereas if you are an ethnic minority within a country, it's a completely, well, I don't know, to be honest with you, but it's a different situation because you have that identity and association with your country and your people. Whereas in here, you're an ethnic minority but you have to go out into the country because that's the country you're a part of. So, you know, it is a curious thing for me to know what would be the difference between, say, myself and yourself. That would be a very interesting thing to find out. You know, because if you've had that confidence in your community and then come over here and experience racism for the first time to that capacity, that can have a major impact. But if you're born into it, you have a different perspective on things. Well, that's what I think. You know it's there, but you live with it.
Yeah.
Does that make you more tolerant? Don't know. Does it make you more angry but suppressive? You know, it'd be an interesting conversation to have. It really would be an interesting conversation to have, because at the end of the day, you know, we have to get on. We know this. You know what I mean? And we have to communicate in a way that people feel that they can speak up without fear of reprimand or offence. We have to get rid of this idea of offence and be able to speak honestly and open and have trusting conversations. We have to get past all that. You know what I mean? Because we live here, we have to live together peacefully. So, you know, it's just things I'm just throwing out there of interest.
Can I say something, Angela?
Yeah.
There's, I wonder if we could pray for. There's been a shooting on Rimfield Road this afternoon.
Oh dear.
Great Western Street.
Oh right, Georgina, we're actually live on YouTube. So we've got a meeting we've sent you that's after this, so we can pray on there. But right now this is like live on YouTube, and we're talking about a particular subject. So
yeah,
Reggie will write to you and tell you what that is, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So Lizea, thank you. Thank you for sharing. What I've realised is that obviously we couldn't discuss this subject in 1 hour. That, you know, there's so much to talk about, isn't there?
Northwest Gathering.
That's not on this this channel, Georgina. This is something a little bit different. And I'm just wrapping up. But I will talk to you later. Don't worry. And I won't be promoting that on here. So yeah, it was we only had an hour or so to discuss this subject. And I also want to say that the whole reason why we have joined friends and promoters of justice with Come Paint With Me is it is the 1 year anniversary of friends and promoters of justice that is coming up. And so we wanted to do a special edition of Come Paint With Me, but also to join forces to celebrate that we have had 1 year of this Facebook page and of just the togetherness of what Ua was talking about. And like I said, I'm hoping to be a bit more of a promoter and a bit more involved in the near future. So happy birthday, friends and promoters of justice.
Thanks, Angela.
And I'm if I was really cheesy, I would sing happy birthday now, but I think we'll maybe not do that. But I'm privileged to have been involved. I'm privileged to have been asked to host this this discussion and to be able to paint something alongside, which has been amazing. It's been fun. If you carry on watching, not today, but I'm going to like carry on painting this on my Instagram channel so people can see the development of this, possibly not till September. But yeah, so Come Paint With Me. We'll be back in September. Watch out.
Last one tonight. Come Paint. Is it the last one tonight? Come Paint With Me.
It's the last one for the summer, and we'll be back in the autumn. So thank you, Georgina. And Winnie, have you got anything you'd like to say in closing? No? Yes? Oh, I forgot something.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for those of you that have been on, so we've got Patrick, Lizea and Beat. We have a book giveaway. So Winnie, do we want to?
Well, yeah. So one of our group members has donated 3 books. So we have, I think, 3 people to the end. So we had said we would donate the books to people who joined the Come Paint With Me today and stay to the end. So I think the 3 of you will be receiving a book soon. So I think what we'll do is I will speak to Angela about how we can get the books to you if you're happy. So I cannot remember. Let me just tell you what the books are. They're quite good, I think. So if you've read them, you could probably donate them to a friend or family member. So one of them is Natives, Race and Class in the Ruins of the Empire by Akala. And the other one is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rennie Edo Lodge. And the third one is Black and British by David Olosuga. So if you can sort of like speak to, or Angela can get your details, we'll be able to send this over to you. Thank you.
Amazing. Great. So for those of you that have watched on YouTube, if you aren't able to get onto the group but you'd like to, do please message me. Those of you on tonight, I hope you will join the group. I'll be sharing it about and I'll be inviting lots of people. But that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining Come Paint With Me.
You better get it in the September look around.
I will, Georgina. Thank you for joining Come Paint With Me. We will be back first week of September. And so watch this space and tell your friends. Like I said, opportunity and a space for us to create and paint and play creatively together. So you can follow me on, I've got my Facebook page, there's the Instagram, and obviously now on YouTube. So feel free to get in contact with me. Would love to hear from you. And if you'd like to get in touch with my special guests this evening, Winnie and Uwa, let me know and I'll connect you. So thank you so much for Winnie and Uwa and everybody who has been on tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I think this is a subject we will talk about later on in the year, because it's, you can't do it in an hour. And I think what Lizea brought about the difference between those brought up in this country and those that have come over later on is a very interesting subject. So we will look at that later on in the year. But thank you, Winnie. Thank you, Uwa, Patrick, Lizea, Georgina and Beat. Good night from Come Paint With Me.
Thanks, Angela. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Where is it now?
Yeah,
Excuse me,
bye.
sorry.
Yeah.